Disney characters, classic storytelling, and innovative technology. All from Disney Interactive.
Happy spooky season, everyone. You all know the traditions. Dress up in our Sunday finest, do a purge, consult the video idea randomizer to figure out what to talk about for the next several minutes. What do you got for us this year, video idea randomizer?
Microsoft, The Lion King, Christmas.
Now listen here, you little Sometimes I get fascinated by the way history builds on itself. The strange causes that snowball into large effects. Our story for today is a good example. I mean, you read the title. This is a small slice of history, an epic tale of heartbreak, triumph, edutainment, and doom. This is the story. As the 80s became the 90s, the computer industry was changing in an important way. The IBM PC Compatible had grown into the accepted standard, and Microsoft's Windows operating system was on its way to becoming a success in the market. Hardware was improving at breakneck speeds, often outpacing the rate at which standardized software support could be settled. The true Wild West era had gone, but traces would echo through the decade as things like video and sound cards matured. It was in this market that multimedia technologies exploded into popularity, allowing for full-motion video games, CD magazines, a story for another video, and new forms of educational software targeted at a younger audience. Using animation, video, and pre-recorded sounds, software could more easily engage with kids on a level they could appreciate. Enter Disney. Under CEO Michael Eisner's leadership, the 90s had become the Disney decade, seeing the company release multiple global hits and work to restore the reputation they had been losing in decades prior. This newfound success had given Disney a collection of new IP to include in their theme parks and merchandising, but also the resources to expand their revenue streams into new media. With the success of The Lion King in 1994, Disney decided to dip their toes into the blossoming edutainment CD-ROM market with an animated storybook based on the film. They would work with the Michigan-based studio Media Station to put the project together, to be ready in time for the holiday season. The project was announced on June 24, 1994, giving Media Station only 5 months to ship the game. I'd like to jump in for just a moment to correct the record on some things. This story's been around the internet a few times, and naturally has picked up a few extra details, but I'm not sure they're all true. If you'll humor me for a second. If you've seen Did You Know Gaming's video on Disney Games, or read this piece on Shack News, you've probably heard that Compaq included the Lion King game pre-installed on some of their new machines for holiday 1994. On top of the fact that both of these outlets seem to have confused the animated storybook with the console game based on the film, I wasn't able to find any contemporary catalogs, wishbooks, magazine ads, or any other sources that demonstrated this to be the case. Shack News has a quote from a Microsoft employee claiming that they talked Disney into making the deal with Compaq with the promise of free promotion, but I didn't find any proof of Microsoft advertising it either. It's entirely possible that this did happen and I missed the ads for it, but in the interest of transparency, let it be known that I have doubts on this claim. Anyways, the fact of the matter is that Compaq did update their Presario line of computers for the holiday season, and for many families, a new computer sat under the Christmas tree right next to a copy of the Lion King animated storybook for the kids to play on it. It's too bad it didn't run on those machines. That's right. Thanks to a combination of the short development window, some high-end system requirements for the time, and companies like Compaq simply shipping new hardware after it was mostly completed, the game suffered from graphical bugs, broken audio, and many crashes. Horror stories of kids excited to play their new game, only for it to immediately throw a blue screen in their face, were not uncommon. For some parents, this was their first ever experience with a computer, and they were hopelessly lost. Disney had to expand their phone support team to handle the calls they received after Christmas that year, and Media Station was ultimately forced to release an updated version the next year as a free replacement for those who requested it. The news of this debacle traveled far. Hey look, an article about a Pepsi Super Bowl commercial, and it was concerning for the folks at Microsoft. Not only was this another example of a Windows game struggling to run, in an era when they are actively trying hard to convince developers to switch from DOS, but this game happened to be using their new graphics library, WinG. They had designed it explicitly to attract DOS developers, and this game was now its poster child. That, and the unreleased port of Doom they had written using it, which they had gotten some random developer to work on. So they went back to the drawing board, and decided to seriously reconsider how multimedia programming should be done on Windows, and how to create a positive experience for developers. This work would lead them to create DirectX, which is the standard library for Windows game development to this day. Oh, and also they ported Doom to it. Funny enough, it was the DirectX team that would initially decide to experiment with a Windows-based game console in the late 90s. Call it a DirectX box, or something like that. And that, my friends, is a look into the maze of dominoes we call life. The flaps of butterfly wings that leave lasting impacts on our world. The pithy analogies that YouTubers end videos on. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, friends. Subscribe, and good night.